you can get in the game by plugging this in. And look at how big this guy is. Hey, Jack. What's up? Welcome back, as always, to another video on the channel. Guys, tonight, I want to go over some unreleased things from Deadlock. And so if you'll forgive the kind of casual nature that we're going to spin up tonight with, I want to show you guys how you can play with Joe Biden here, or Yakuza, as his name in the files is thus now, or at least how you can try them out yourselves. These heroes, a lot of them, and there's a lot of stuff that we're going to cover tonight that is in the unreleased category. Obviously giant works in progress and really shouldn't be judged now. I just want to show you guys all this cool stuff that exists. Well, they said that one of their, the devs, Valve, said that one of their goals in 2025 is going to be to beef up the hero roster. And so I think that is going to be, we can probably are going to see a much more polished version of some of the characters that we're going to see in today's video in the game later on. Don't worry, guys. I'm not just going to sell Raven to you as an unreleased hero. So we're going to start off. Joe, he looks like Joe Biden. I can't shake it. My buddy Caleb said it the second that he saw him, and now I can't unsee it either. And so we're just going to jump right in, guys. There are a bunch of heroes, probably like 8 or so, that we are going to get to take a look at tonight. We're going to get another look at a new hero, or pardon me, not a new hero, new trooper class, a siege trooper. The candles that you see running around. This guy's got a bazooka. It's pretty sick. And he's actually looks really, like, far along, like probably going to be in the game somewhat shortly if they are still intending on putting them in the game. And that's a huge asterisk for all the stuff that we're going to look at here, guys, is that who knows if this stuff winds up in the game or not. Anything until it shows up in the game, and even after the fact, right? It could get the soul rebirth treatment and just hit the cutting room floor. And so without any further ado, guys, we will take a look at Yakuza here. We're not going to talk too much about like what all the abilities do and things like that, because they're more so, all of that is up to change. Like we all saw the giant changes that Calico got to all of her abilities, so we'll take a look though for sure. And his number one here, Shakedown, is just a kind of like McGinnis thing here. It looks like it's slowing hexes them as well, based off the little icon that you get here. But yeah, who knows? This is all up to change. His little gun doesn't make any noise. He just shoots out of these little balls here. It's very interesting. Very Neon Prime. If you guys did not know, his two here is Hired Muscle. He just spawns in a buddy who's going to come and help him. If you guys did not know, Deadlock had a spiritual predecessor, which we'll talk about later in this video. Pardon me. Deadlock had a spiritual predecessor called Neon Prime. That is where a lot of I assume these floating balls and things like that come from, that then changed into this 1940s art style that we know and love. We'll throw up a protection racket as well. It's something that you can activate on your allies here, and I imagine that it just gives them some type of shield. And then we have his ult Setting Sun, which might be the most visually impressive out of any of the temporary assets in the game thus far. And yeah, you can imagine that is going to seriously do some damage. And so we will head on to our next hero here. If you guys want to know how to spawn in any of these guys, you can obviously just follow along with what's going into my console here now. But I'll also put all the links in the description for the stuff that I was seeing, or for the websites that I used to just track down all these guys. And so this guy is obviously a player model left along from Neon Prime days, and not someone that's going to see the light of day in Deadlock. But they've got him in here for now, and so we get to see what's going on with him. And so this guy's big thing is he's going to build up this heat power over time. And if I had to guess, that probably like overheats his gun. Yep. Very much so like Battlefront 2 Star Wars type reloading. And you charge up heat power, and if I had to guess, the more heat power you have, the more damage you do with things like your 2, like that, where you get to leap into the fight, which is a super cool ability. And then he's also got his little hot shot here, which it doesn't look like it has a texture quite yet. And then we also have a Radiance hit for his 3, which looks like probably just gives him like a damage boost. Maybe he builds up heat power a little bit faster. And then for his ult, charges up his shot, and then boom, does a burst of spirit damage. He can kind of lock in, and yeah, you can hear, guys, just how futuristic and, you know, retro-futuristic. That's like not a word, but I just made it up. I think we all know what it means. Retro-futuristic. Come on, we're all on the same page. It's very interesting. But yeah, so it'll be cool to see what these guys turn into, because all of these heroes that we know and love today, guys, were all Neon Prime heroes. For example, Vindicta's name in Neon Prime was Hornet. Pretty cool name, not bad. But they transferred all this stuff over into now Deadlock. So we'll move on to our next one here. We got, we just did him, and now we're on to Rutger. And so what you'll notice too, guys, is like if you dash, you don't really go very far. Very, very broken in terms, or I shouldn't say broken, because these are in development, right? These aren't meant to be, that's why we're not spending a ton of time looking at the abilities and things. These aren't meant to be judged in a complete way. And so is one Rutger. We got a rocket, baby. We just get to shoot a rocket at somebody. Just boom, fire it. It doesn't look like it's not like heat seeking or anything. And then for his 2, he's just a straight up force field. This is really interesting, guys. Like a really interesting CC where you can just force someone out of an area, right? And broken when you combine 2 of them. But just like, it's really interesting. His 3 is a passive that we don't have a bunch of information on, but cheat death. Something tells me that if you get him down to 0, he stays alive for a second. This guy's going to be very interesting to to fight against. Then he has a pulse, which if I had to guess, probably silences you, based on the little animation that we're seeing here. So probably silences everybody around him, which can be really devastating in the middle of a team fight, obviously. We'll move on to our next homie here, who is Thumper. Thumper's another interesting one. Only 6 bullets in the gun. Super interesting off the bat. It looks like, yeah, he shoots like an explosive gun, kind of like Yamato's alt fire, but it looks like he does probably way more damage, even if you don't hit, right? Yeah. And then we don't actually have names for his abilities even yet. He's one of the furthest away, it looks like, from the rest. This thing, you can see, right? It's like they're still working on the textures. So I would imagine this is some type of a big old cannon, right, that blows up directionally. So if you hit him, doesn't do that much damage to him, but then you hit him right in the face, and you get your full damage. Then his second ability looks like it's gonna work similarly to Dynamo's Pulse Cannon, where it fires out in a straight line in front of him. I say Pulse Cannon, his like stomp. It fires off in a straight line, and then it barbs people. So if I had to guess, you're probably slowed and you're taking a few ticks of damage. Great escalating exposure item if they get that item back on track. Number 3, let's take a peek. I don't remember what they all are off the top of my head. It looks like he probably getting decayed, debuffed here in some variety. You don't do more bullet damage in this one, though. I have tested that. His ultimate ability is like this kind of strange like AoE thing that they're going to, obviously there's a lot left to do there, but you can just like push people along. Obviously, it will be super useful for like pushing people into a dynamo ult, or like let's say you get behind people in a team fight, and then you can hit them with it. Yeah, man, that's a good old-fashioned time. Knock them all into tower right under a dynamo ult or something like that, and then he's still cooking. Yeah, so definitely will be an interesting one. We got a couple more heroes here, I think, before we get into some other things. Yes, second to last, we've got Cadence, who looks like they were eating a couple of the wrong chocolates at the Willy Wonka factory. And Cadence actually, based on their, they don't have like tooltips or anything, but they do look a little bit more finished than the other ones. First off, we got our ability Anthem, which it looks like they probably just sing for a little while based on the musical notes that I'm seeing around. And probably heal, it looks like buffs your team, maybe just buffs your team since that I'm getting extra bullets from that. Then 2, we got Silence Contraption. So what this is kind of similar to Calico's dash. You just dash forward. It looks like, does it disarm you there? I think that timer is a little bit broken because when I tabbed, maybe not. It looks like it disarms you for a while after doing it. But so you dash into somebody and it does a little bit of damage. Let me hit this guy here. Not a lot. But it just whacks him, and then it looks like it leaves a sticking debuff to him. And then you can Lullaby, which just looks kind of like Hayes' Sleep Dagger, and it looks like it's probably an AoE type of thing. but it doesn't stop them from moving. Maybe it just stops them from shooting. And then for the ult, you have a big crescendo, which looks like kind of similar to a dynamo ult, but like it expands. You'll notice that the circle expands as it pulses. Then it only does damage at the end, I think. Yeah, because it doesn't do damage to them while it's expanding. Very interesting. One final hero. We got a very interesting one, Gunslinger. So Gunslinger is very interesting because obviously this is Paradox's hero model, but Gunslinger has different abilities. They do just have the straight up pulse grenade. It makes me wonder if maybe this was a Paradox in progress. And this is what we're seeing here, is that like the final kind of like Paradox, this is what became Paradox maybe. Then the same ability as the 2 and the 4. Very interesting. So the 4 is completely unfunctional for whatever reason. But when you use it in the ult fashion, it's just this, like, aimbot, basically, that does a ton of damage. And so, sorry, I gotta show my parrying skills. Get fucked, training dummy. And then the 3 is a passive, similar to Abrams or Hayes, where they are passively marking enemies with a brand, shooting an enemy with a brand consumes the effect. And so, we won't read through all of the tooltips and whatnot, because they are very much so up to change. So the next thing, probably the most interesting thing in this, probably the most interesting thing to me in this video, because the thing that actually looks like it's the closest to being put in the game is this Siege Trooper. And a Siege Trooper, I mean, you'll see. These homies, you can get in the game by plugging this in. And look at how big this guy is. Let me switch off of Paradox here so that we lose that thing. But look at how big and look at how much damage he's doing to me. Like, he will kill you. And watch this. Still at like 2/3 HP. Hit him up in the head. I need to kill. Oh, I can't melee him. I can't melee him yet. So you can see, I mean, the amount of damage that they did, and they certainly look like a much more complete. I wonder if this will keep me alive. They certainly look like a much more complete model than pretty much anything else we saw today. Like, they run, they move. If you break their aggro, watch. They move, they have like their own, you know. Which, granted, you know, how different is that from a just regular trooper? But I still think it's super interesting, guys, because these are obviously much further along in development than everything else. It looks like you can't even stick your bombs to them. But yeah, they have functioning models. It looks like basically everything except for their hitbox works theoretically properly, right? So that's a super interesting thing that makes you wonder, how do you think this is going to be used, guys? Leave it down in the comments below if this is something I'm super interested to talk about, because this is super cool, I think, these homies. So let me know what you think about the Siege Troopers down in the comments. Should there be more trooper categories? The last thing, or second to last thing, because there is one more other interesting part, but the second to last thing is there's a set of items that's been added to the game that are very much so in a very close to, or much closer to finished condition than other items, which we'll talk about in a second, that suggests that they may actually wind up in the game in the next little bit here. And they are as follows. Well, we'll just get to them as we go. The first one is called Spirit Burn. It's a tier 4 item, and it deals spirit damage that applies a burn over 4 seconds. And this effect can repeatedly stack on the same target, meaning that you can just like start stacking spirit damage, right? We're not gonna lead through every single little like tooltip here, guys. It's more, this video is more so to show you that they exist and give you the tools to try them out if you want to. But yeah, it's Spirit Burn 6K, gonna be a big one, especially for Infernus, right? Like, think about how much more damage, how much more impactful an Infernus is gonna be, you know, with an item like that. Keep on scrolling back up here. We got Corpse Explosion. So if this one, if I recall correctly, for like every kill or death you get, an explosion occurs where the victims die, and kills against the heroes have greater radius and damage. So let's spawn in an enemy in Shrimp Furnace here. Boom, and you see that? So there was a little explosion there. If we get our Infernus back. And boom, we get a little bit of an explosion. So I wonder, it'll be tough without, I'll get one of my buddies on. Well, I wonder if,
You can't stop this.
ooh, but you can see there too. Let's kill this Infernus. So he does that, but watch after I hit him with the Gloom Bombs here. He's burning just like I hit him as Infernus. Very interesting. So moving on to our next one. Spell Shield. So this one gives you a little shield. It's got the debuff remover icon still. It's called Hexafoil Ward is what this this item is called. So you can block the next spirit damage or debuff, preventing its effects. Only regenerates outside of combat. So if you imagine like Dynamo, like Wraith hitting you with Hurl, and then you like Dynamo Quantum Entanglement out of it, and you get that little like pop sound. Wow, that was a really bad like interpretation of it, but I know you guys all know what I'm talking about. You get that video, or pardon me, you get like that effect is how I imagine this goes down. And you also get 25 bonus health on it and 15% spirit resistance. And so it also only regenerates outside of combat, so this isn't something that you'll just be able to pop, kind of. You get it once per fight, and unless you're able to kind of like effectively disengage, you're all good. You won't be able to use it again. So that's Hexafoil Ward. We'll go on up to, this is Patron's Blessing, if I'm not mistaken. Patron's Healing. So when you receive a boon, automatically heal. And you heal for 210, which is only a 500 item, meaning that you're really only going to be buying this at the very beginning of the game. Think about it when you're stacking up those boons like crazy every time you get it. When you're getting like those first Guardians, or you get up to 3k souls, or like that type of stuff where you're getting the boons pretty frequently. And then you can sell this off. If you're playing like a really aggressive hero, like Calico, for example, in lane, where it's like you're gonna be just playing at half HP a lot because you have to expose yourself sometimes in order to engage the enemy. All right, so the next one, we got a couple more. We have Hexafoil Gloves, if I'm not mistaken. Hex Sealed Knuckles, pardon me. After dealing an accumulated 246 spirit damage, your next heavy melee attack deals an additional 246 spirit damage, right? So, let me hit Infernus with... Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy the amount of damage that you can hit them with. So let's try and hit this guy there. 421, and then... yeah, does like an extra 246 on top of the weapon damage that you're doing. So this is going to be huge on Abrams, any melee hero, you know. Abrams, it's going to be absurd because Abrams can pop that like spirit, like, you know, ring thing. The spirit ring thing, I believe that is the technical term you can find in the game files. The spirit ring thing is really bad and annoying because it's just proccing that to like everybody who's within it, right? And then all of a sudden Abrams hits you for 900 damage on his heavy melee, right? So that's going to be a real problem with Abrams. So we can move on to our next and final, quote-unquote, final item, because I do have a bit of a surprise after this one. But we have Lightning Scroll, which imbues your ultimate with permanent spirit power. After dealing damage with your ultimate, the target takes bonus damage and is stunned. So this is, I think this item is kind of silly. I'm interested to see how it works because I'm gonna kill this Infernus just with the ult, but it's, let me hit this guy because is stunned. Yeah, it's like, it's crazy because think about I kind of passed through him there on the and then he's gonna get stunned here again, right? And this is just, yeah, that is silly. I think it's more so silly for, I think it's really useful for Calico, right? Because then it puts you just in perfect range to get claw struck again. Yeah, you are going to kill so many people with that, with Calico, and it is a tier 4 though, so it's a super interesting item. It'll be really interesting for like Refresher Dynamo ult that just hit me in the head now. Sorry guys, we're making a quick change in the middle of the video here. I would like to try out Refresher Dynamo ult. So I need Ultimate Burst, and then I need get me my Refresher. There we go. I haven't played Dynamo in so long. It's this build, I mean, is probably brutal at this point. But and so I bet you he just gets stunned, and that I got to turn my no cooldown off though. So he's just stunned, and then, but I will say it doesn't look like he's actually. Oh, is it because imbue your ability with permanent stun power? So why isn't homie stunning here? Who knows? Let's try fucking Shrimp Furnace over here. Shrimp Furnace. Huh. It doesn't seem like it works for this target. This effect can only trigger once per target per ultimate. Very interesting. So I don't know why that's not working. Well, guys, that's why they're unreleased and not meant to be judged in a way like this, right? This is testing that we can do, you know, when this item actually hits in an update. You know, that's not something that we need to be ultimately worried about right now, why this does or doesn't work. But I do have one final thing to share with you guys, and it's that there are a ton of more unreleased items. This is just 6 of them. I found, I mean, probably 100 plus, and now a lot of these are kind of leftovers from Neon Prime. They're not things that maybe the devs are even planning on adding, but they're things that before they get put in the game certainly need to be reworked. There's one of them that just gives you like plus 60% ability duration. That's probably just straight up a dev tool, but I do want to show you where you can go to use them and how you can check them out. So in the description there's a link to both a video of someone showing all them off from back, I mean, months ago. You can see like the old Shiv Neon Prime poster or texture there. It's super interesting. But then also another link to show you how to actually get them into your game, because I actually spent a while trying to get them to work, and for whatever reason I couldn't. And it was one of those things where it's like the Reddit thread is everybody just being like, oh my god, this is so cool, hell yeah, thank you. And then like the entire, like, I'm just sitting there copy and pasting exactly what he says to copy and paste. I'm like, how is this not working for me? So that said, it's a super interesting list where one of them is literally just called like Magic Missile from D&D. It's super cool to know that there is so much content down the pipe for this game, and I'm really excited, man. Like, this is the one that I am actually like kind of pumped on. I think this one is super cool. No! Aw. But yeah, I think it is some super cool additions, and super cool things are coming down the pipe in this game, guys. So what are you most excited about, or are there things that I missed that you are pumped on that didn't get into the video? So guys, without any further ado, I hope you guys have had a fantastic week, and I will see you again this upcoming weekend. Peace.